Doha now, Nawaf Al-Thani served as Qatar's senior defence official and defence attaché to the US and joins us from there. Very good to have you with us. I hope you were hearing that interview I just did with Lord Ricketts. He seems to suggest that this resolution is a way of bringing the world together when it is finally agreed, and we understand it will be. What is the view from Doha?
Well, Lucy, thank you for having me. Obviously, anything however little could help must be done. Unfortunately, we have to see this executed on the ground. Now, here in Qatar, there is support for any humanitarian effort, as I understand it, but it's also, we must understand that it's a different track from what the Qataris been doing when vis-a-vis negotiation for de-escalation and the release of hostages. So it's a wait and see, and it hasn't passed yet. So it's a little thing, it's watered down, yes, but if it helps with humanitarian aid, then it would be something useful, obviously.
So that will be welcomed on the one hand, of course, any efforts that succeed in getting aid in. But will there also be frustration that the language has been watered down in such a way that we're not seeing the sustainable cessation of hostilities being called for?
Well, obviously, because it does not deal with the root cause of the problems. Right now, we are seeing that is causing the humanitarian problem, which is the war itself. And the numbers, obviously, of victims, the civilians have gone beyond 20,000 at this point, wounded over 50,000. People talk about the day after, and clearly the day after the war, whenever the war ends, would be dealing with a humanitarian disaster. So not dealing with the root cause is frustrating for everyone. I speak to friends even in the United States who are close to the negotiations on the American side, and they seem to be frustrated with the Israelis. However, if this is the good, then it shouldn't be deferred to the perfect, which is not being something that could be done at this point.
So what negotiations are happening in Qatar right now, and what progress is being made?
Well, the Qataris have been very clear. They haven't given up on negotiations. A lot of these negotiations, obviously, are being done behind closed doors. The efforts by the Qataris have been pushing more and more. Things seem to be easing up a bit. Unfortunately, however, the Israelis, the internal rhetoric in Israel has been counterproductive. We've seen, however, voices in Israel like Ehud Olmert talking today or mentioning in an op-ed today that Benjamin Netanyahu's efforts will fail, unfortunately, because it doesn't have an end state with a military solution. So I think everyone's pushing towards negotiations. The Qataris are definitely pushing towards negotiations with support of the Americans, and definitely the Egyptians have been very active. And there's a glimmer of hope. However, no one's giving up on that at this point.
We have heard that there are divisions between the military and the political arms of Hamas. Is it also your understanding from the statement that we saw that they will not release any more hostages until the bombardment ends, until there is a ceasefire?
Well, that is the tools of the negotiators at this point. It's very difficult, unless there's active negotiation going on and advanced negotiation, to think about the details. Now, there is no doubt that this is going to be much difficult than the first round of negotiations. That's what the Qataris have been saying, that any delay makes it more difficult. Unfortunately, this is where we are right now. But it's too early to say what will happen. I think there is a positive view, but it gets harder every day that negotiations do not advance.
Nawaf Al-Thani, very good to have your thoughts. Thank you so much for joining us.